You can put your money anywhere. I'm a real estate developer. Do you think there's a chance I would ever take a chance on New York again? New York is turning itself into a flyover state. I have to build data centers now. I'm not going to go to New York. New York has power. It's got fiber optics. It's got Niagara Falls. But no, we're not even thinking about it.
No doubt by now you heard about the verdict that came down against Donald J. Trump, where he was ordered by a crooked, corrupt judge who just wanted his 15 minutes of fame to pay $355 million. When in actuality, it's really over $400 million if you include penalties and interest accrued day by day by day. The AG, Letitia James, is reminding people of that interest on Twitter X every day. But in the clip I showed you in the beginning, Kevin O'Leary of Shark Tank fame alluded to another issue that will affect New York, I believe, long term. And that's investors being scared away, fearing that they could be next. Because this doesn't just have to do with Trump. This has to do with every real estate developer, investor, domestic and foreign, who thought about coming into New York and putting money into the city to make it better. And even the governor of New York, she's kind of concerned about this verdict. But at the same time, she's saying, well, if you're not Donald Trump, you should be fine. So go figure. That's who's running New York right now. And New York isn't doing really good. It's not doing great at all, actually. Last 10 years, what you've had crime increase, taxes are ridiculous. You have migrant invaders right now, illegal invaders coming in, beating up cops on the street, let go without bail. I made a video about that recently. Check it out. And also, they're beating up cops in the shelters. It's unbelievable what's happening in New York. Unbelievable. This was once a city revered throughout the world. And this is what it's turned into. It's a circus. And even the charm of New York, the charm that was there, dare I say it's not there anymore? If you're a New Yorker, you let me know. Because I've never lived in New York. I've gone to New York a few times, but I never lived there. So you let me know. Is the charm of New York still there as it was 10, 15 years ago? But I want to focus on what Kevin O'Leary was saying in the beginning of this clip, and I'll play the rest of the clip at the end. But he was saying that investors will pull out of business. Washington Examiner. Major investors pull business from New York City following Trump verdict. February 21st, 2024. Prominent investors have signaled their intent to halt their business in New York following the $355 million verdict in former President Donald Trump's civil fraud case. Real estate mogul Grant Cardone announced on Tuesday that his firm Cardone Capital will no longer underwrite New York real estate, one day after Shark Tank star Kevin O'Leary vowed to no longer invest in the state as a result of the verdict. Immediately discontinue all underwriting on New York real estate, Cardone ordered his firm in a post on X. The risk outweighed the opportunities at this time. Recent political decisions will continue to deteriorate price and benefit states that don't have these challenges. Focus on Texas and Florida. The Sell or Be Sold author explained his decision on Wednesday in an interview with Fox and Friends. When that Trump ruling happened, it was like pencils down, Cardone said. Don't touch it, don't go there. Judge Arthur Engoron, again, this is the corrupt judge who just wants his 15 minutes of fame, ruled on Friday that Trump must pay over $355 million for conspiring to alter his net worth to receive tax and insurance benefits. Engoron's verdict additionally bars Trump and his sons, Eric and Donald Jr., from doing business in New York for 3 years. We invest for 14,000 investors at Cardone Capital that depends on cash flow, Cardone said. And if I can't predict the cash flow because of some ruling, or because of the migrants, or because I can't evict people, New York City just keeps doing every single thing they can to sell real estate in Florida, not sell real estate in New York. O'Leary called New York a loser state and told Fox Business on Monday that he would never invest in New York now. And I'm not the only person saying that. This award, just leaving the whole Trump thing out of it and seeing what occurred here. And I'm no different than any other investor. I'm shocked at this, O'Leary said. I can't even understand or fathom the decision at all. There's no rationale for it. Governor Kathy Hochul attempted to quell the fears flagged by Empire State investors in a Sunday radio interview, telling business owners there's nothing to worry about after the Trump verdict. Really? Unbelievable. Law-abiding and rule-following New Yorkers who are business people have nothing to worry about because they're very different than Donald Trump and his behavior, Hochul said, adding that Trump's fraud case resulted from really an extraordinary, unusual circumstance. You mean the fact that he's running for president and dominating? That's it. There's no victim here. O'Leary responded to Hochul's comments saying every investor is worried. Where is the victim, O'Leary said. Who lost the money? This is some arbitrary decision a judge made. This policy, what does this say about the bar, about the legal bar in New York? Aren't they going to question this judge? What is this? I'm sorry, her words fall on deaf ears to everybody, he continued. There's nothing she can say to justify this decision. And this has nothing to do with Trump. Nothing to do with Trump. Forget about Trump. This is not a Trump situation. This is a New York problem. Well, I agree. This is a terrible decision. Trump will no doubt appeal. I think he has like 30 days to appeal and go from there. I don't believe he will have to pay all of this. I think in a higher court, it will be thrown out or Trump will win an appeal. I was listening to Hard Bastard earlier today, and he heard from Viva Barnes, that if Trump wins on appeal, that the city of New York will have to pay all the interest that was accrued from the verdict, which would be poetic justice if that's true, if that happens. I think he will win the appeal. I think he will. But I also think that one of these ridiculous lawsuits, and there are many of them, will stick. Not because Trump deserves it, it's because we have a corrupt judicial system. And I think come November, he will be elected president of the United States for a third time, under house arrest at Mar-a-Lago. That's my prediction. I could be wrong. But what do you all think? Especially you New Yorkers, what do you think? Would you want to invest in New York City after this happened? I wouldn't. It's already too expensive. Again, crime-ridden. You have a legal invasion going on right now where they're not even getting penalized. You have Eric Adams, who's sympathetic. You have Kathy Hochul, who's sympathetic. All these people who are not thinking about the citizens of New York first. And now they're disrupting the money flow in the financial capital of the world. Go figure. It's an election year. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you haven't already, please take a moment to like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell. And until the next one, take care.
Well, let's bring in the chairman of O'Leary Ventures, Shark Tank Judge Kevin O'Leary. Kevin, so good to see you this evening. Let me just jump right in here. Last time you and I spoke about the possibility of what the fine could be in this case, we now know what it is. It's more than $350 million. That's a huge financial hit. And I'm wondering, where is he going to get this money?
Actually, it's closer to $500 million with a 9% interest, assuming
True.
It'll take 18 to 2 years to actually settle this in an appeal, which I think it should be appealed. He'll work hard to raise it. I think he can do it. But I don't think this case is about Trump anymore at all, because you heard the governor of New York come out yesterday and say, look, everybody, don't be scared about doing business in New York. Because the only people we prosecute are people like Donald Trump who don't behave well. That didn't go over very well with the investment community because we're all asking each other, who's next? This was a victimless crime. Nobody lost any money. And a judge out of nowhere put on a $355 million penalty. I mean, who's next? So if you think
Kevin,
about
before I don't want to cut you off, but I hear about the so-called victimless crimes, but the laws on the books, falsification of business records in second degree, issuing false financial statements, insurance fraud, conspiracy, and all these different aspects of it, those are actual crimes. I take it your point is that these should not have been prosecuted?
Well, my point is there's never been a case like this in 75 years. Everything you just listed off is done by every real estate developer everywhere on earth in every city. This has never, ever been prosecuted. But here's the real point that people in New York should concern themselves with. You can put your money anywhere. I'm a real estate developer. Do you think there's a chance I would ever take a chance on New York again? New York is turning itself into a flyover state. I have to build data centers now. I'm not going to go to New York. New York has power. It's got fiber optics. It's got Niagara Falls. But no, we're not even thinking about it. We're going to places that have the exact same thing, where we have rational governors that have never done this to investors. This is about New York and its people. If I were in New York today and I was living there, I would ask myself, maybe we should hire better management. Why is this happening to us? Why are we becoming a flyover state? Why are investors
Kevin,
concerned about putting their money there?
But shouldn't you ask that? Wouldn't those people also be saying, first of all, I do wonder how many people take issue with the idea that every investor is engaged in falsifying business records, that every investor is engaged in what has been accused of Donald Trump and the Trump organization. Because there's probably a lot who are saying to themselves, I've never falsified my business records. I know what a square foot looks like. I know what I can ask for and what I have the money to support. So I wonder to what extent that really is true. But on the second point, wouldn't there be many companies who would not want to do business or loan money to people like yourself or investors if they know that they can get away with fraud and there's no recourse to protect them?
Excuse me, what fraud? This is not about Trump anymore. When you get a developer that builds a building and he says it's worth $400 million and he wants to borrow $200 million from a bank, which happens every day, everywhere on earth, including every American city. Every developer is an entrepreneur. They shine the light on their building and they say it's worth 400. The bank does its own due diligence, as was done in this case, because they're very good at it. The banks are very good, and they say, no, it's worth 300. We're only going to loan you 150 million. That haggling has gone on for decades. That's how it works. And then in this case, even, the bank that was supposedly defrauded testified and said, we didn't lose anything. We want to do business with this guy again. We'd like to, but the judge said, no. Let's penalize this developer for $355 million. And if we're going to do that, let's penalize all the developers all across America. They've all done the same thing. All of them should go to jail, and we should stop building buildings. That's what the message is from New York. Even the governor herself is concerned about what this looks like to investors all around the world. It's not just U.S. domestic. All around the world, people are talking about what happened here. You really think people want to invest money in New York after this? How about we go somewhere else?
I think there are people who would, I don't want to cut you off, but I want to converse with you instead.
You just did.
It's only because I want to have a conversation, Kevin, as opposed to just having you tell me. I respect you because
you're a lawyer. You're a lawyer. You understand exactly what I'm talking about.
I got to tell you, I'm respectable for a number of reasons, Kevin O'Leary, but being a lawyer is one of those issues. But I'll tell you, when I hear your conversation, and I do want to converse with you about this point, I understand that there are legitimate concerns that were raised during the trial and will continue to be raised about who the quote unquote, who is actually bringing the suit. It wasn't the banks who were saying that we as consumers or unsophisticated feel this way, but Letitia James, the Attorney General, and I know you want to expand beyond Trump, has suggested, well, it's about making the playing field level for those who are not the major and billionaire investors, but for those who are supposed to put business records out there, want to get a loan, the idea of making sure that they have to have the same true statements included as those who have a lot more money. Is there any weight to that for you?
Well, I ask you who lost money, and I'll make it even clearer. You and I, we're developing a data center together, and I say to you, We can go to New York, where this just happened. It's your money now. You're now an investor and you're taking risk. You're an entrepreneur with me, right beside me. We're together on the deal. Or I can show you Oklahoma, North Dakota, West Virginia, where the governors actually ran businesses. Let's go there, where this never happened before. They have power, they have permits, they've got legislation that's supportive of entrepreneurship. Why would we go to New York? Why take the risk? My only point is, did we just diminish the great state of New York and the great people of New York? And shouldn't they ask for better management so they don't become a flyover state? Remember, New York has the highest taxes in the country, the worst regulatory environment, and it's incredibly mismanaged. And I'm pointing out now, on top of that, you get this insanity, a victimless crime. And forget about Trump. It's not about Trump. I don't care about Trump in this. I care about America, and I care about entrepreneurship, and I care about democracy and the fairness. The judicial system is now being criticized. People are asking themselves, the bar of New York, is this judge rational to charge $355 million in a case where no one lost any money? Is that good for the people of New York? Shouldn't the people of New York wake up to this and say, what's happening to us? Why is this becoming so perverse? Why are we the focus of this injustice? And I had nothing to do with Trump. I'm not supporting Trump. I'm supporting American entrepreneurship. And New York is slowly becoming the #1 loser state in America. I'm sorry, that's what's happening.
Well, that's news to the city that doesn't sleep, but I'll tell you what, the governor has said that legitimate business operations have nothing to worry about. I, as an attorney, am looking at this issue, wondering what the appeals process will look like, because they're going to delve into that very topic that you have raised. They're going to talk about perhaps the novelty of this being, as you described, not brought on behalf of, unsophisticated consumers who may have been duped, but decisions made by loan entities who wanted to engage in business with this particular organization.
Let me
That'll
put
be
up
really
my hand.
important. Go ahead, put your hand up.
I want to put up my hand and ask, Governor, who's next?